Hey there, welcome to the Shelter in Place CP drawing stream. If you are just now joining us, we are just now starting, so you're here at the right time and in the right place. If you're watching the replay, then welcome to you as well. Comment down below, and I'll try to answer that as soon as possible. So what we're doing with this particular nose is we're using a limited palette. I'm only using the 24 set of the Derwent Lightfast. Primarily, I've been using these colors and a blue that's in that 24 set. And I say a blue because that's the only blue they have, is this mid ultramarine. So I took out the black. I'm probably not going to use the white on this. I took out about 3 greens. Here they are. I'm not going to be using those greens. But I just want to show that you can use a limited portrait set palette color. So for instance, there's another blue-green, dark turquoise, I guess it's called, that I'm not going to be using probably. Although you probably could. And I did use it on the last piece that we were working on sanded paper. We were working on a set of eyes, male eyes. So we're doing these live streams, Shelter in Place color pencil drawing streams from now until we're not under this order of shelter in place, stay at home order, whatever you want to call it, depending on what part of the country or world you're from. PM Eastern Time. So this is our 5th installment, I believe. I think this is our 5th installment of this particular nose that we're working on. And I think last time I used a lot of this yellow and some of the red, and I think what we're going to do now is probably go back to this red and start using this red a little bit more, just to get a richer saturation in this tone, this skin tone on the top of everything that we've built up so far. And by way of reminder, if you're brand new here, then this support we're using is Strathmore Bristol Smooth 4-ply. I need to sharpen this pencil a little bit. And I'll zoom in just a little bit for you so you can see it a little bit more and pay attention to what we're doing here, rather than just having to look at it at the zoomed out level. Hey Harry, how are you? Very cool. So on time Harry, I tell you what, there we go. I got a nickname for you. Thanks for joining, Harry. Appreciate it. Okay. So I want to get a lot of this red in here, and then I will push it in a different direction, you know, with the yellows and some of the darker reds, like Ruby Earth in particular. Venetian is another one that we have in this set. I want this to fade away from the shadowed edges. And so I want to be kind of careful about that because I want that feathered kind of look at the edges. I don't want it to be just haphazard. I want it to have some type of compositional beauty, I guess. Some artistic interest when we're looking at the overall composition and it doesn't just end abruptly. So I do want to kind of fade some of these edges where the shadows are. And so I'm tapering the saturation by varying the pressure on the stroke, but more importantly, I'm varying the amount of layers that I'm putting down. So I'll use tracking when I'm in the darkest areas because I want to increase that saturation. And then as I pull away and move away from those areas, then I'll lighten up my stroke quite a bit, but then I won't put as many strokes down. But if we're doing an actual drawing that was connected to a face, then what we would be doing is I wouldn't worry about that so much. I would just push that out a little bit, towards the upper part of the cheek over here and over there, and I wouldn't worry about what it looked like a whole lot with relationship to the nose, because I know I'm going to cover all those areas when I get to them. So, hey, hello, Shiny. Thanks for joining. Yeah, if you don't think about those edges right away, Harry, that's I've done it too. Then you know what I'm talking about. That you can sit there and you're like in cleanup mode or something. So hello, Shiny. So you said you found all the Pretsit live streams and you watched the nose one and fell asleep. This is what I've woken up to. Okay. I don't know if I should be offended or I'm just teasing. That's funny. Okay. Yeah. I do realize my voice can put many to sleep. I got a trick for you though. Watch it in double speed. If you're watching the replay, watch it in double speed, and that may help. That's too funny. I love that. All right. Hey, Linda Brewer is joining us over on YouTube live as well. Hey, Linda, how are you? Hope you had a good weekend. Linda is a regular on office hours. She usually joins once or twice a week. Those are private video conferences that I have with my students, and I tell you what, they tell me they get a lot out of it. I don't know if it's a reciprocal thing, but I think maybe sometimes I get more out of it than they do, because I love connecting with other artists. It's just a lot of fun being able to do that, and so it's just awesome to see what they're working on and to be able to see what they're willing to share with the group, and it's just a lot of fun. If you're not part of those and you're part of the Sharpened Artist Academy or you're in a monthly Sharpener, then what are you waiting for? You really ought to join us. Okay. Sergio, man, thanks for joining over there on YouTube Live. And you second that last statement. I'm not sure which statement that was. Maybe speeding up my voice, was that it? I'm not even kidding about that. That is something that you should do if you're watching the live streams as a replay. You should speed them up. Or you're going to end up like Hello Shiny, and you're going to end up going into a coma. I'm just warning you right now. Okay, that's a lot of red over there, which is fine. And we'll keep moving up the nose on the exterior portion of the nostril, and then where the ala, which is what this is called, where it connects up here to the side plane of the nose and creates that little divot, a little indentation right there, and that's always going to, and you can nearly say always. You may have a little asterisk with that always, but it's only a slight caveat to qualify that statement, but it's nearly always going to be darker right up there, because it's just the way that the curves and the contours of the planes of this particular feature of the face work. It's recessed, so there's some areas that are hard to see. It's going away from our view, and we're not going to be able to see everything in there. Only reason why we would be able to see something is if we had some very direct light that washed out shadows. So thinking about light that maybe you would use or you would see with makeup artists or something like that, because they want to see every little thing. Often you'll see maybe amateur videographers or photographers want to use very horizontal lighting and wash everything out. And as artists, you know, we can't stand that. We don't like that at all. We need shadows. We need to see contour and form. We want that, you know. But I understand that. But that's the reason why when we look at features, we're going to notice that there are certain features that they're always going to have certain dark areas. Oh, I'll move it that way. How's that, Harry? Does that work for you? I'll zoom the camera back out. Is what I did, because I've got everything taped down around this on my board. Harry, does that help? Just let me know. Otherwise, I could retape it, I suppose, and move it over. Maybe I'll do that for next time if that'll help you a little bit right there. Yes, Cheryl, how are you over on Facebook Live? Thanks for joining. I can't believe you don't have those, Cheryl. Come on now. You're going to love them. Yeah, and if you guys are interested, Harry, especially directing this to you, I guess, but if any of you are interested in downloading the reference that we're working on, then you can go over to, the link is down below in the description there, but it's over on my website, sharpenedartist.com/livestreams, and you'll be able to download the reference here. Follow along, draw it yourself, whatever, if you want to do that. Okay, I'm going to lean in just a little bit, see if I can without getting my head in the shot. It's hard for me to see this because I want the angle to be the best for you guys. So yeah, Cheryl, you're gonna have to grab some of these. You know, they're exciting. I love them. I was hesitant to like them. I'll be honest. There's certain things that at the beginning I just wasn't used to. with them, but the way they perform is slightly different from any other pencil. But they grow on you, and I really, they're one of my favorite now, if not my very favorite, but maybe not my very favorite. That's hard for me to say that I have just one pencil type that is my absolute favorite, because I like so many. Kind of eclectic about colored pencil types, because there's certain properties of the Polychromos pencil that sometimes are necessary, that I need. But then the Caran d'Ache Luminance are great pencils, and the list can go on and on. There's so many, as Cheryl, I know you know. So Sergi Man says, so asking how I started working in colored pencils. Was this something that you always desired, or has the medium presented itself in a time of need? It's an interesting question. So what I did was, I didn't do any art at all for about 25 years. And I was just working a day job in IT. I did a lot of things in IT, mostly development, programming, and IT management, project management, different things. Anyway, I used to draw when I was a kid, graphite mostly, and so I started just getting interested in drawing again. And I guess one thing led to another, and I got interested in colored pencil because I think I came across some colored pencil drawings online and just saw how amazing they looked. They looked realistic and looked like photos, and I couldn't believe the detail that I was seeing. And so I was just real intrigued, and then I just started trying to figure out how they did that. And one of the first books that I picked up was that book by Cecile Baird, Colored Pencil Painting with Light, or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it now. Maybe one of you guys in the chat there can help me out with that. But yeah, that was the first book that I looked at, and well, I guess as they say, the rest was history. I just started doing a lot of tutorials and different things that you do, whenever you're brand new. That's how I got started. What about you, Sergi, man? You do a lot of work in colored pencil. What got you started in it? I always think it's interesting to find out those origins and how people really started. I find a lot of times it's not that much different than what my story is and how I started. I feel like I'm obsessed, though. Ever since I started, then I couldn't stop, and I think a lot of us are that way. All right, let's go down here. We've got to move that red all the way up in here. That's what we've got to do. Just a slow process. Depending on how far we get, I'm thinking maybe we might do a frontal view of a nose, but we won't do that next. I think we're going to move on to the mouth with teeth next, since there's been some of you who ask for that, and I think that's a good one to do. Sometimes that trips people up, and I think we're going to probably expand and go beyond our limited palette with that one. It'll just make it easier, a little simpler. It's good observation there, Harry. Oh, so Sergi, man, you kind of came at it from a different perspective, I guess. That's interesting. Yeah, it is funny where we all may enter um, this continuum of our particular art journey at one point or another. But the interesting thing is that we all kind of enter in the same spot, just different reasons, perhaps. Okay, let's go over here. Ah, that's interesting, Sergi, man. That 12 set, huh? You would think, talking to some that that's not enough, that the 12 set's not enough to do anything with, but it actually is. You can do a lot. You know, um, on this particular nose so far, we've not used very many at all. Oh, using the side of the pencil tip. Cheryl is saying, you surprised me that you're using the side of the pencil tip. Oh, yeah, there's, it might look a little bit skewed, though, due to the way the camera is angled. I'm not sure, but I'm actually kind of at a 45-degree angle, so I'm not shading like the side of the pencil, but side of the tip. I think you're right. Yeah, it is sort of using that tip. It's more of a 45-degree angle. It's kind of hard to tell right here. In most of my courses, those that are inside the Sharpened Artist Academy, you have a different camera angle. You have the overhead, but you also have a secondary camera that I cut to often, and you see more of the angle of my exact hand when I do that. But yeah, I see what you're saying. See, this would be vertical. This is, what would that be? Probably, that's probably 45. I maybe even, 40-degree angle, something like that. I don't know. I guess I'd have to get a compass out or something and measure that, or a protractor or something. I'm probably not going to do that, but yeah, I think it's interesting how everyone holds their pencils a little bit different. And one thing that that I didn't really do a whole lot until I saw Debbie Hook do it, and that was using that overhand method for applying the pencil. Now, mostly what I don't ever do that on smooth paper like this or Stonehenge, but I do use that when I'm on sanded paper. I think you can get some very quick, even coverage on sanded paper with that. And I know, Cheryl, you use sanded paper quite a bit. So I'm curious if you do that, or what kind of stroke you use, or pencil hold you use. Okay. Some of that texture of the skin I want to be able to depict in here, but I don't have to worry about it at the moment because I've got more coverage that I've got to get down first before I start worrying about that. But I do want everything to be covered evenly, and so I do want to add more of this red everywhere first before I start using other colors again. So it's going to take a minute to do that. Cheryl, I don't know if you're still on here or not, but she's in Ohio with me. So I know Mike DeWine, our governor, spoke today about some plans for quote-unquote reopening. And I didn't see it all. I like, again, talking about talking slow like I do. Our governor, Mike DeWine, he may actually beat me in that department. He talks very, very slow. So I usually watch the replay on his live updates. But it sounds like maybe pretty soon we're going to be able to reopen certain things. Hey, Carol, thanks for joining over there on Facebook Live. So, Sergi, man, you're asking if I'm tempted to start drawing outside of the boundaries of the nose. I am tempted to do that. Just like on the last drawing that I did, I was tempted to go ahead and finish the entire portrait, but oh, yeah. That's fine, Carol. I totally understand that. Thanks for joining while you can. Appreciate it. I have a lot of UK artist friends over there. What time is it over there in the UK right now? I should try to do something that is a little more UK friendly once in a while. And sometimes I forget about that huge time difference until it's too late. Okay, I just want to make that edge over here. Okay. Oh, 10:30. I see. That's pretty late there, Carol. I see. I've got this edge over here on the nose that is trying to influence the way that I'm drawing. I did that to myself, and so I want to use that eraser, tap that back just a little bit so that that doesn't start to dictate to me an edge that I don't want. There we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. want this to connect right there in the middle. Where are you located? Hello, Shiny. I should know your first name. I'm sorry. I forgot what it was, though. But I guess it's easier for me to say hello, Shiny. Hope that's okay with you. I did know your name once upon a time. I apologize for forgetting it. But are you in the U.S.? You're in the United States? I can't remember. I was just looking at your comment there. Doesn't sound pleasant. Not being able to breathe fresh air. Okay, I gotta move this around just a little bit because I need my stroke to be. Yes, Carol, these are the Lightfast pencils. So this is the 24 set of the Lightfast pencils. This red that I'm using is Scarlet right now. And so we've only used about 3, maybe 4 pencil colors so far. Something like that. We've not used very many. And I'm trying to stay away from using salmon color at the beginning. And just going with some more saturated colors at first here. You might recall if you were part of the live streams that we did with drawing the eyes, the male eyes, that we used salmon quite a bit early on, even on sanded paper. On this Bristol smooth paper, we're actually I'm trying to go in a slightly different direction and grab all of these very saturated areas first. That I'm starting to fill in all these tonal areas. I usually work in a very similar fashion, regardless of what paper or pencils that I'm using. And so, what I usually do is I'm using the shadows to direct the steps involved with the rendering process. So I'm usually coloring in and looking for shadows first and rendering those at the beginning, and then everything is formed around those shadows. So, and often I'm using like a grisaille method as well, trying to use just just a few colors and dark colors at the beginning, and that way I can focus on values and I can narrow the way that I'm approaching the piece and work from the dark areas to the light areas. That seems to work well for me. The example I like to give is a lot of times I'll see somebody drawing a portrait and they'll talk about their process or show their process, and they'll advise using like one of the lightest colors possible, like ivory and polychromos, or some very, very light color. And that just doesn't work for me. I mean, it's just I for one, I can't even see that color usually if I lay that down on a white piece of paper, especially. I guess they've got better eyes than I do, but to me it just makes more sense to use a darker color first to render and to get those shadows established. That way you know where the form is and you can start creating the actual molding, the actual drawing and rendering it. As I try to think like, we're sculptors. Let's see here. So you're in New Zealand, I'm guessing? Hello, Shiny. Okay. Your name is Shiny. Okay, gotcha. So I wasn't all that far off. So hello, Shiny. That makes sense. All right. I had a lot of this dark area right up in here. And I haven't touched the red up there, I don't think, yet. So I need to make sure I cover that. There we go. This paper, it's got that very, very delicate tooth. But what's nice about it is you're able on a smooth surface like this to render very, very tiny, tiny and tight details. And so you can let the pencils do the work. You don't have to use solvent or anything else to be able to make adjustments. And I love that. I love some of the advantages that you have on some of this paper that is a little more sensitive, because the tooth is, like there's not a lot of tooth on a smooth paper. That's funny, Carol. Thank you. There's something about noses that I love. I don't know what it is. I notice the nose on a face very quickly. I like big noses. So, Linda, you can't find the 4-ply paper anywhere? That's interesting. Wonder why. It usually comes in the large sheets, 40 inches in one direction or more. I can't remember. That's what mine is, and then I have to cut it down. Maybe that's the problem. I'm not sure. And I think I ordered mine online. I may be wrong about that. Oh, thanks, Cheryl. Thanks for coming out here, and I understand you got to go, so appreciate it. It was nice having you out here. Oh, yeah, I don't think you're going to find it on pads, Linda. I think you're going to find it just on the individual sheets. Hello, Shiny. I guess I'm just going to call you Shiny then. No, I'm not on a Bristol board. Well, I guess you could call it a board. It's a Bristol paper that's a 4-ply paper. I suppose you could call it a board. It's not advertised as a board. It's advertised as a 400 series 4-ply paper, just the larger sheet and the 4-ply. There's one little spot there. It's kind of bothering me. So sometimes that happens, and I could take that away right here. Most of the time I would just dab that, and pick that up. But I think it's actually going to help us with the texture, so I'm going to leave it alone, and I think it'll be fine. I think if I just leave it there later on, it will help in the texture quality, Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure if you use some that isn't as sturdy and you're trying to add water, you're going to experience some buckling for sure. Okay. Now, let's see if... All right, this area right here, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking I want to move some of this red up here. I do want to highlight right in there. A little bit of a highlight. And I want to use an extremely soft touch right in here. And if that's difficult to achieve, if you're somebody especially that has a tendency to use a heavy hand whenever you're drawing and adding your layers, then use your hand, use your pencil like this, hold it way down here so that whenever you're applying the pencil, it's just very, very lightly. And it's barely touching the paper. Sometimes that helps. I don't always do that. I'm talking about I don't always hold it that way. But at the beginning, when I first started in colored pencil, I did. And so I like to remind students that is the way to do it in the beginning if it's something that helps you. I can hold it down here and use a light touch. But sometimes I'll forget, especially when I was new to colored pencil, and I would just start pressing harder if I was choking up on the pencil. So if I hold it way out here, then it's just a gentle reminder to myself to not bear down on the pencil and to use that light touch the entire time. And so from time to time, I still like to do it. I'm not used to working on this paper as much anymore, and so using that light touch and holding the pencil in that way helps me to remember that I'm using my lightest touch possible. Okay. Now I'm thinking that I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. I didn't mess with that the color on the that the OBS is skewing the color just a little bit. I noticed that earlier on our live stream earlier. I messed around with it a little bit to try to get the color to look better. I think I did that last week, but now it's a little bit too much on the green side, and it's kind of difficult to get it to look exactly the way I want. True to life, the way it looks right now, right here in front of me. And so I probably need to actually work on the camera itself instead of the OBS software that is the go-between with getting the stream to appear. Yeah, so Shiny is asking if I use green much for skin tones. No, I don't ever use green. Well, I wouldn't say never, but if I ever do use green, if I ever have, it's been down in the lower third portion of a male's face typically. I've used green in hair before. I haven't done that in a while, but I have done that in hair. Sometimes I think that's needed there, but no, I don't really use green too much for skin tones. Just like I don't use orange very much for skin tones either. And I've seen even though really you're using oranges is what you're using. But I don't ever go grab the orange and start using that. I think you run the risk, at least I do, when I'm using orange, anytime I've tried to use orange, of making it look just too orange. So that's been my problem with that. And then you asked something else. If a person has blue eyes, do you use a bit of more blue in the skin to make it unite? I tell you what, Shiny, I use blue whether someone has blue eyes or not, because I just think blue belongs in the skin, especially like a Caucasian skin, a white skin. I see blue a lot usually, so that's one thing that I do is I look for those areas to put blue in there. Because I love blue, and I see blue in just about everything. For a while, my daughters told me, they said, okay, when you buy a new shirt, next time you buy a shirt, you're not allowed to buy a blue shirt. Because that was my wardrobe, was basically just all blue shirts. And I said, okay, that's fine. And I think the next shirt I bought was maybe a green or something. I don't remember. Satisfied them for a while. I think I can see that there's mostly this red color everywhere, which is what we wanted. And I'll just smooth out some of these edges right in here that I don't want them to look like edges. So make those look a little bit smoother right in there. There we go. And add a little bit more of this red over here just for the overall. Getting that overall tint to the skin. Okay, and then I need to look back over at the reference, make sure we're still sort of on track here. Yeah, coming from graphite and then started, using colored pencil, the one thing that I was not prepared for is, and I see this a lot in new students to colored pencil, I was not prepared for how long it takes to work in colored pencil, just how long it takes to render something in colored pencil. And so, as a beginner, I didn't take as long, and my work suffered because of it. I thought, I thought it was a race, I guess, but I'd try to get done real quick with it. And, slow and steady wins the race when it comes to producing representational art, and colored pencil in particular. You want to take your time and build up all those layers very methodically and slowly. But there's something about it, though, that where if you're doing it on your own, even if you're reading a book, which is what I did a lot, you don't understand how long it takes, and you don't, just by looking at a completed piece as well, you don't realize that it took a long time for someone to complete that piece. You think they just rendered it very, very quickly. And I know there's some artists that they come to the medium and they never get over that. They don't like that, and they leave. They start doing things in charcoal or pastel, or they just move on to painting or something like that, and they leave the best medium behind, which is colored pencil, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's a different temperament. Yeah, exactly. Melanie over there on YouTube is saying, moving from graphite to colored pencil, she wasn't prepared to start completely over with the learning curve. And that's exactly right. That's exactly how it feels. I feel like that you have to learn certain things all over again. Patience is the biggest thing I think I learned. It's just being patient and remembering the vision the whole time and thinking about, what's coming next. This foundational layer that I'm doing right now, is going to help me in the long run. It's something that is necessary for the next steps, the next layers, and it's not something I'm just doing just to be doing. It's something that is actually going to help with everything after that. Yeah, that's exactly right. There we go. Hey, Donna. How are you? Donna over on Facebook Live. How's it going? Glad you're here. No, you didn't miss a whole lot. We've been just drawing out here for a little while, and you can always watch the replay and speed up the process so that at least you can speed my voice up. That would be a good thing. Okay, now I think we've got enough of that red in there. So I can look at this and say, all right, what will my, what will my next color be? We did add blue already, and we may go back to that. But I think I want to deepen some of those shadow areas. And yeah, thanks, Carol. She's saying my voice is very relaxing over on Facebook. Well, it must be because I think Shiny said earlier she went to sleep watching one of the live streams, which I think is hilarious. Okay, so I'm going to test these two pencils. I'm getting a kick out of that. So I've got two violets here that I can choose from. So this is a blue violet. Hope you guys can see that. It's way over here on the corner. And then I've got just a violet called Violet. And it looks like that's a little more purple. Increase this light for myself here so I can see that. Yeah, I don't know. This is a little darker. If I can saturate that just a little bit more. Huh. That's funny. Hello, Shiny. She says she went to sleep on my nose live stream, and it was only a 13-minute video. Okay. I can put that down. I want to layer this, see what that looks like. Use that blue violet. Since I do have red, over there. Just want to see what that looks like. And I'll use that. Did you notice I didn't refer to my big elaborate chart? I don't have one, by the way. I don't make those charts. Some do, and some love them, and that's fine. I don't do those. Okay, I think I'm going to use the blue violet. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Going to use the violet. Let me look at that again. Let me do this. Put it down here, and then look at it that way. Yeah, I'm going to use the violet. I don't know. Maybe that brighter light was better. I don't know. You guys can tell me if you think that was better, or if this one's just fine. I think this one's probably just fine. Okay, So I'm going to look over here. Whoops. Let me zoom out for a moment, let you see this a little bit better. I'm going to look over here on my reference, or actually I can do this. Okay. I'm going to take a look at this reference and look for the deepest recessed areas. Obviously, the darkest area is right there where the nostril is. But what about any secondary areas? Right here. That seems to be the darkest. Right there. This is very dark up here, a little darker there. Right in here is dark. This is all a diffused area. But it's still dark. So I want to make sure I capture some of that. Move that back out. Forgot I could hit record on this remote that I have, and I accidentally hit record for a second. Okay, so I can move this down very carefully. Just add a little bit in here. I've already got that as probably as dark as I need to go anyway. But I can start looking for some of the darkest areas over here on the edge, and then moving those away from that edge of where the nostril is. And then it's going to make that nostril look very, very bright and pale when I do that. There we go. No, you don't, Sherry. Oh, Sherry over there on Facebook Live. This is her husband's nose that I'm drawing. That's hilarious. She goes, I recognize that nose. For those of you that are on YouTube watching. That's too funny. Yeah, I thought you might recognize that, Sherry, if you ever saw this out here. Well, Sherry, I don't know if you saw it, but somebody said that it's a beautiful nose. So there you go. You can let Mark know that. Okay. We'll keep moving that out just a little bit. And, you know, my stroke is going to be a little more feathered. I'm going to use shorter, tinier strokes, more erratic kind of strokes where I'm looking for areas that I need to fill in rather than just using my typical linear stroke. Well, hey, Mark. Sherry said he's standing right there, so he's watching his nose getting recreated on paper. All right. I guess maybe I should have drawn Mark's eyes. Somebody commented on how blue the eyes are. Now, there's a recessed area right here, if you've noticed, that we want to make sure we capture. So, looking at, you know, I'm always going to be looking at these angles, even as we progress and move forward with certain parts of this. But right in here, this angle, whoops, I'm off the frame. You're not able to see that, so let me push that back out. Sherry, don't puff them up too much. That's funny. So I need to look at some of these, and let me redraw that over here and show you what I'm talking about. But if you look at that, the ala around here, that outer edge of the nostril, to me it looks like, I'm going to exaggerate this, so relax if you're somebody who gets hung up on all these angles. But it's doing this, and then it's coming down like this, and then it's tucking under, and then up again. And then here's the nostril, you know. And then on top, I see an angle going back like this, and then over like this. And then that shadow comes up here, and it's a little bit diffused over here and up this way, obviously down here. And then you've got that other form shadow on top of the nostril. But I want to look for those angles in there whenever I'm redrawing that. You think about it like that every time you're adding more layers, that you're redrawing areas, right? Okay, and then we're going to put more of this violet even on top of that form shadow there on the ala. But for right now, I'm going to add that recessed area right there that is darker. It's a darker mid-range value right there than anywhere else in this diffused edge area, right in here where the shadow's coming back towards us. And I want to fade that. Yeah, see, this is the problem sometimes with this kind of paper, depending on how the layers were working out underneath there, but some of that violet just started collecting in one area, and I didn't want it to do that. And you may think, oh, that's being way too nitpicky about that. But if I let that go, then okay. Push this back over here. There we go. So yeah, sometimes we do want to be, real picky about certain things. Some of these folds in the texture of the skin up here, we want to capture, and again, yeah, so we've got, all these pigment layers underneath, and it influences the way that this violet color is deposited on top, because I'm not drawing on the paper, anymore. I'm drawing on these other pigment layers, and I'm building on top of those pigment layers now. And so the way that this pencil is laying down is different than the way that the Venetian red or the blue pencil was laying down initially. Even the red was laying down different than what this one does in this area in particular, due to that, just all that pigment layer built up. Okay, I want to go up here. I want to look for those dark recessed areas, or the shadows. I want to look for those first and think about those first, or second, I guess. We looked at them down here, but I want to keep looking around and trying to find those. And then add as much as I can to those areas, and then start looking for mid-range areas as I move out of the darkest shadowed areas. And so what does that do to my highlights? Well, it helps with balance in the highlights, doesn't it? Because it helps, like the highlight over here in the nose, to stand out, to pop out just a little bit more. Well, those are the things I want to look at. Okay. And at the same time, we're reestablishing where this shadow is. Early on, before we put the red down, I think it was pretty clear where the shadow was, that where the light was traveling. But when we started adding the red over all the nose and going over in this other area, then it started becoming a little more obscure where the shadow really was. So we're coming back over here and reestablishing where that shadow is. When we do that, then it helps this side over here to look a lot more pale, look a lot more, look lighter and pop out a little bit more than what it is, what it was before. Okay, move this in here. And we've been going for a while. We are about to stop then. We've been at this for a little while, haven't we? So okay, but I do want to do this side of the nose. And again, you know, using this limited palette, we're not going to be able to, you know, it's a self-imposed restriction, right? But, you know, often when we're starting out in colored pencil, and I think this is a good project to do if you're just starting out. Again, the reference photo is over there at sharpenedartist.com/livestreams if you want to download it and draw this nose yourself. But when you're just starting out with something like this, you probably don't have 100 pencils. You know, you're starting out, you've got a limited amount of pencils that you're working with. And so that's the reason why I started out with a limited palette. I want to show that this is possible. And it's an exciting thing to be able to just use a few pencils and you can still do a lot with just a few pencils. You know, you don't need 200, 300 pencils to be able to render skin tones. And we're saving that secret weapon over there. We're saving that salmon color that we'll pull out. We probably will use later on, but it'll be a good one to brush everything with just a little bit. And just kind of push everything together. Mix it all together. All right. Yeah, I can't understand it, but you know, it's just the way it goes. But this was a commission. They wanted me to just draw the nose only, and nothing else. That's what they wanted. They're going to frame it, put it on their wall. I'm just kidding. That's not true. I was just joking. No, this is just a study that we're doing. That was hilarious in my mind, by the way, when I said it. So, okay. I think I am happy with where we are. I do want to grab this shadow right under here, though, just a little bit more. Yeah, so Donna, yeah, good observation. Yeah, that was something that I don't know if you were here a little bit ago. We were talking about just a little bit. Is that you do need a lot of patience with colored pencil. Yeah. Carol says it's like an illusion on paper. Thank you, Carol. That's a high compliment. Yeah, if you're new to colored pencil, it is something that it takes a long time to build up the layers, you know, to do it very, very slowly. And so what we were doing last time when we were drawing on sanded paper was, you know, nearly the opposite, because we were rendering very, very quickly. And so those are just the differences there with the paper types, that you can do things so quick on sanded paper, and you're not going to be able to do that on a smooth paper like this. Now I'm getting a little carried away here, but I'm going to have to finish this because right in here I just love being able to have some contour lines right here to show some of the direction of of this area right underneath the nostril right there, where you've got a little bit of a contour happening. And in this direction as well. And if you move your pencil in the contour of what you're depicting, then sometimes it just adds a little bit of a realism to it. It at least helps the viewer to understand the angle of the plane that you're depicting. And that's what we're after, right? Because, to Carol's point, it is an illusion. That's what we're doing. We are creating an illusion. We're trying to make something look. Oh, thanks, Carol. So yeah, so here's a cool thing. If you're brand new to colored pencil portraits in particular, then we are going to be, two things. We're going to be doing a free portrait prep course soon. But we're also going to be launching our face value course, which is a colored pencil portrait course. And the cool thing about that is Derwent, the company that makes the light fast pencils, they're giving away in a raffle the 24 set to some of my students who will, whoever wins those pencil sets. So I'm so excited about that. That's going to be so fun to give those out. And you can create portraits with those. There's a few other pencils that would help as well, but you can use just those 24 set light fast pencils in that 24 set, and you can create portraits with those. And so, yeah, there is a wait list right now for the portrait course, and if you are interested in that and interested in signing up, I may have a link to it actually down there in the description of the video. If not, I will put that in there. I'll edit the description after we're done here, and I'll put it in there if anyone's interested in joining that. I think it's fun just to go through the free course. I think, I usually have, first time we launched it, I think we had 200 or something like that go through the free course. The next time we launched it, we had more than that. I don't remember the exact number. But I was just kind of blown away that there was that many artists who were interested in learning portraits in colored pencil. And it is a lot of fun just to see all the differences and the variations that get created in that free course. It's just a lot of fun. All right, guys, I am going to go ahead and call it an evening here with this drawing. If somebody can just tell me to stop, you know how that is. It's that old joke, how many artists does it take to draw a picture, paint a picture, and it's two. It takes one to start and the other one tell them when to stop. So, okay, my alter ego told me to stop. So we're going to go ahead and stop right now. Thanks for joining. Again, just by way of reminder, these shelter-in-place colored pencil drawing streams are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 p.m. So thanks for joining, guys. Thanks, Carol. Appreciate it. You guys have a good night, and until next time, stay sharp. Bye-bye.